All right, before we start, a little programming note. I'll be postponing heavy metal for tomorrow in place for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Will this be a goth metal lore movie? Probably not, but I gotta still watch it. It's a brand new movie, everyone. So Heavy Metal 81 will wait for Saturday.
Range projected.
Captain, I'm getting something on the distress channel. This is
Estimating 2 minutes to intercept.
evasive action.
Oh,
Shields collapsing, Captain.
The weapons, Captain.
oh.
Captain, it's no use. We're dead in space. Hands abandoned ship.
All right, open her up.
Any suggestions, Admiral?
Pacific. The Klingons don't take prisoners.
So that's from the Wrath of Khan. Every time when I see that scene where Kirk and Spock just have like a little bit of banter after the Kobayashi Maru test. Aren't you supposed to be dead? And it's like, now I think about that scene. If anybody, I don't even know if it was if the spoilers were leaked in like magazines because it was 1982, right? If people knew Spock was going to die, I don't think people knew. Most people wouldn't know. You didn't click on the internet. You had to look through magazines. But like when you see Kirk ask Spock, "Aren't you supposed to be dead?" He says this in the beginning of the movie. It's like, holy shit. Anyway, let's. I thought about that. Ever since I went back to watch it on VHS. And we're gonna do a little bit here. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't even know Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was going to come out this week. So I think there was a Wednesday night preview, and I'm like, fuck. Anyway, nobody better be spoiling the movie tomorrow. I better not be seeing that shit. I still remember that kid that said, "Oh, the Shadow's gonna be in the movie." Like, you little bastard. I had to work at Universal Studios for 8 hour shift on Thursday. I could not see it in Sonic 2, and I was like, fuck. All Paramount stuff. Anyway, let's move on. Now, this is from the Wrath of Khan. I have not seen this yet. I am watching all of this at the same time as you. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we can expect here. We have to see this. Let's take a look. Expand. No! Let me see. Let me see. View. There we go. Fuck. Okay. Wow, look at this. So this is from the Wrath of Khan. It better be. I better not have clicked on the wrong thing. I think it is. Yeah, it looks a little different from the motion picture. And we can see above. Yeah, the ceiling's the same. And a lot of the inner workings are the same. The chairs are changed to a bluish color instead of brown. So no longer do we have a tan techno seats. We have these light blue ones. Very, very good. I mean, we're coming into the early 80s. You could tell those, like, everybody had those ridiculous kind of short hair, long hair looks, especially from the Superman from Khan. I can only imagine what that was like if the character who played the wife had actually been alive. She would have been detrimental. She would have stopped Khan from doing any evil. But that's kind of the whole setup. I don't think they would have let her in the movie just because they wanted her to be dead anyway. I know she passed away shortly after, but anyway, let's go to timeline again. And we're going to go down to the next one. Now, this is the NCC 1701 destroyed. This is from, I'm curious to see, is this anything? What can we expect? Expand. So this is just before, of course. Obviously, if it was really destroyed, you would see. So there's a bluish color to that. Look at that. So this is the last time we see this ship. And I'll say that, and I'm pretty sure if James Horner, in another reality, James Horner, the composer, would have been doing Star Wars music. He would have been the one doing Rogue One music. But but instead of James Horner, we had Michael. I was gonna say Michael Bisping, but you know who I'm talking about. He's the composer for Batman and Star Trek, and he did Star Wars Rogue One. But yeah, James Horner did the music for Star Trek 3. What a great scene. So look at this. It's much darker, isn't it? I mean, we went from these bright white colors from 1970 something, and then here we are in the early to mid 80s. So got people with their fucking loud music because they gotta have loud music everywhere, right? Yeah, that's amazing shit. So let's close that, and we are going to go back to the timeline. Please allow us to go back to time. Can I? No, I have to. I have to do it from here. Okay. NCC 1701A. No bloody A, right? It's like going into the holodeck here. Scotty wants to see the original one, not the other one. Okay, expand. Now, this I believe is from Star Trek 4. So you have the white. So we went back to a white backdrop. But we were using green and blue as the palette, which was used for the colors for this was used for the rest of the movies. I would say for 4 and 5. This looks like the bridge also for 5. But 6 is a whole different bridge. But look at that. Look how amazing that bridge is. That is something. That is an amazing bridge. It's just, I don't know. It's just, there's something about it. I know somebody would want to like if you had to redo your house, which Enterprise bridge or which ship bridge would you want to redo your living room into? I think this one looks pretty good. I mean, it's sort of in between 6 and the earlier movies. It's just really neat. Okay, let's go to timeline again. And this one is Star Trek. Oh, this is the Star Trek 5. Oh, let's see. Can we access that? Not, it's the same music as The Next Generation or Star Trek 1. This was supposed to be the final movie, but just doesn't work out. Let's take a look at now. This is a quarter pie ceiling, so quarters. So that's a quarter pie ceiling that we've seen before. This is different, very very different from Star Trek 4. The seats are a little more subdued. Green and blue is the palette, and very very different. I mean, you don't really appreciate the technology or the complexity of the bridge until you actually have to look at it in VR. That is amazing stuff. Grays and browns. Each one looks more complex than the last one. I think this looks like it's carpeting there. Is that carpeting? Is that shag carpeting, you think? Kind of looks like carpeting. I think this was like shag carpeting instead of like the hard decks. But yeah, that's that one. Back to timeline. And next one this is decommissioned. This is the final version of the final Kirk ship. We have to see this. They better have made this. Holy shit. Let's take a look at the ceiling. Quarter pie instead of a small eye for 5 and 6. So yeah, this is it's hard to remember the music for 6. Da 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 da. You know, it's like very, very like deep, dark music. I mean, they really like the range of musical themes. I wish we could walk around the fucking bridge, but we really can't. We can't see these things up close. But amazing stuff. Look at all this. Look at all these decks. Look at this stuff. Amazing stuff. And it kind of complements the Excelsior, of course. Yeah, this feels very 90s. Very 90s. This is the final Kirk ship. So I think I know what the next one's going to be. So let's go back to the timeline. This is the Enterprise B. This is launched. So let's take a look. Can we get to that? Surely we must have the bridge for this. Let's take a look. And it's a very different bridge. We still have the quarter pie ceiling, and we have darker colors now. Now, this is in the mid 90s. This is after 7 years of Star Trek The Next Generation. Look at these seats. These seats are very small now. Wow. I would just, if nothing else, it would have been nice to have like a nice VR set just to mess around with this stuff. I mean, it's the VR is very limited here. Yeah, that's where Tuvok sits, I guess. They're trying to like say that Tuvok was there from the Excelsior, but would Tuvok have been on the ship? But it was just Tim Russ playing Tim Russ and not Tuvok. And then you had Scotty, you had Chekhov. There was a whole deleted scene in Generations that I hadn't seen until a couple of years ago. But for years, I would see magazines with those pictures of Kirk in the silver suit on a parachute. And I'm like, what was that about? Why was he doing that? And why was he with Chekhov and Scotty? What was that about? What was going on? So the idea was that they were going to have Kirk, Spock, and McCoy was like, DeForest Kelley was like, no, I already said my goodbye. And Leonard Nimoy was like, nah, we don't need to come back. So they got the other two. They got Walter Koenig and James Doohan. That was the whole story to that. That was the short version, of course. Okay, let's see. And this is Enterprise C from yesterday's Enterprise. So this is yesterday's Enterprise. Let's expand it. This Enterprise boldly went into a Romulan conflict and got captured by the Romulan. The Klingon. The Romulan conflict helped the Klingons but got captured. This is very cool. This is a sort of a quarter pie, but like an eye, more of an eye. Quarter pie eye diagram. So there's the Enterprise C diagram. Very small because, of course, the budget for this TV show was like not going to allow certain things. I'm not sure if I can brighten it up to show you a little bit more, but there is a little bit there. And I think, to be honest, it was a little bit brighter in the TV show anyway. But it was dark because you saw the fire and the flames, and the music just kind of helps out. Yeah, it's a very small ship. Yeah, because I think they were just kind of going for these half circle ships, like Kelsey Grammer's ship, and then this one. They just didn't have the money to go and spend like that. So, let me just lock that in place. I'm going to close that. Back to timeline. So yeah, it was a matter of a budget. So it looks weird, but okay. Now we are going into the iconic. You know what this is. We've seen it a bunch of times. And expand. This is, of course, with the giant. I don't know what I would call it. I think I would call it a shoe print, like a sneaker print ceiling. The Delta Enterprise, and NCC 1701 Delta USS Enterprise. That is something. Galaxy class. This was the first of its kind. I remember Denise Crosby said when they first did Star Trek, they were pushing all kinds of buttons as play acting. And then later on, they would just push one or two buttons when they were trying to do certain things. That could make sense in the story of it, that the Enterprise was like the first Galaxy class starship, so nobody knew exactly how to work the buttons. So if the actors are playing with all these different buttons to do something, they're learning as they go along. Then later on, they would be like, "Oh yeah, just press these two buttons. That's it. That's all you have to do." So it makes sense that they were trying to figure it out. And then as you go through those 7 years, then they know what to do. They know where to go. But this show went from like a big budget spectacle with the music and special effects, and they kept it simple later on. But yeah, you could jog laps around the whole bridge. That's always the joke. But yep, completely different thing. It was a completely different take on bridges. It was an ellipse and not a circle. This is the one from All Good Things. Uh, Looking at it at the end of the journey, I had not noticed any differences in the ship design. Let's take a look. It does look a little bit darker, I will say. The blue carpeting is different. Um, is the ceiling different? Ceiling's about the same. Shoe print ceiling. Sneaker bottom ceiling there. Um, you get a little bit of blues. It's a little bit different. Maybe it's a little bit darker. They might have made it a little bit darker in color just because it was a more serious to kind of go with their uniforms being V-neck uniforms, which was a major improvement because the actors hated the skin tight uniforms. I would have if I had to do a reboot like with Tom Hardy as Picard, and you would have Colin Hanks as Data, and maybe Omar Epps as Worf. Who would be? I would have picked Jussie Smollett as Geordi, but Jussie got to be Jussie, right? Um, I'm not sure who else, but they would have picked different. Maybe Anya Taylor Joy as Counselor Troy, and I would have had them. I would have put back the red lines, the red shoulder lines that were in the first costume, and put it back into the V-neck design to give it an 80s techno look. But they'd probably be slightly rubber-looking costumes, I guess. So that would have been me redesigning the costumes for current times. So that's all good things. So what's next? We have the destroyed one. Are we going to be able to see this? Could we see it? What are we going to get? But of course, that's all we get. That's all we get, Papi. We don't get nothing else but the destroyed ship. They could do more. So E, let's take a look at the Enterprise E and see what we have. So this kind of returns to the circular design. This is more of a, sort of the red eye look, kind of a red eye design for the ceiling. It's a little bit different, I think, in the color. And if I could lock that, make sure you could see everything. Yeah, not as memorable as the other ships. I mean, when you go through the '80s versions of the Star Trek Kirk ship and everything, what an amazing thing! You see a little bit of that blue that we see in the Enterprise from Discovery and Strange New Worlds. That sort of hyper lilac blue, such an annoying color. But there it is. And I'm not sure if this is the same ship throughout all the movies. I guess we'll find out in a moment. But let's go ahead and close that. Back to timeline. This is from Insurrection. There is a difference. So we have a little different color palette. This is a different ship after the second movie. So, of course, because First Contact would have the first appearance of the E. So this is the, yeah, it's a little bit different, a little bit darker, a little more complex looking screens. Yeah, very different. Very different. Not as memorable as D. Somehow D came back even though they destroyed it. So let's skip that one. Back to timeline. We have Star Trek Nemesis. This is the final Picard ship. Oh, that's it. We don't have anything else. Back to timeline. Okay, so this is F. We might have a view of F, and we do. This is from Star Trek Picard. Um, I I start to think I'm starting to like E better. So there is, uh, I guess I don't know who's this is. I forgot the guy's name, but eventually Seven of Nine takes over the ship. So much complex stuff. It looks really busy. That all of this. Here we have the iconic J.J. Abrams view screen, of course, because you got to have that. You got to have that stuff. Yeah, that's that one. Back to timeline. Por favor. I'm pressing back to timeline. G. The Last Generation, Star Trek Picard. What do you think? We're going to see G? Let's take a look. Here we go. Maybe. A golden eye ceiling there. But wow, what an amazing ship this is. I don't even recognize anything anymore. Do you recognize anything anymore? No. It's all cluttered. Look how busy it looks. I mean, just look at that. A lot of blue. Yeah, I don't even recognize this ship anymore. What is this ship? What is it about? Is this ship anything? I like the reds and the blues. I try to keep more iconic colors. But yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, let's go back to timeline. The Enterprise J. You know, I don't think I don't think that's gonna happen. What is this? What is that? Back to timeline. What is this? This is not the ship. What is that? Is that the holodeck in the ship? What is that? At the super holodeck? What is that? I don't know what that is. Enterprise J. We ain't gonna see shit. Okay, go back to timeline. USS Enterprise, 32nd century. What can we see? That's from Star Trek Discovery. And can we see that? Let's see what that looks like. What do we get? What do we get instead? Hey. Spock says, "We don't have the ship right now, but if you'd like to leave your name and your message and a number, and we'll get back to you." I don't even think we have ships anymore. I think we get to a certain point where we just like our spirits just go to another planet. We don't need ships anymore. It's illogical to have ships. Back to timeline. So we have the Kelvin. So now we're going to look at the Enterprise. This is Chris Pine's ship. Let's take a look. So this is expand. Now this is the original Abrams one. Very, very busy, but I don't think it, you know what? Because of the movie budget, they were able to spread everything out. I like this one a lot. If you go from Star Trek Enterprise, the season 4, after the Xindi Archer ship, and then you go to this one, fuck, holy shit. And I like that everything is spread out. You have these glass things over there that look like the ones from when Worf went to another universe, and he had those glass designs on the ship, on the Enterprise D. Yeah. So that's this one. Amazing. And so that's that blue eye. So let me close that one out. Go back to the timeline. This is from Star Trek Into Darkness. And we will take a look. And we will expand. And here, I think this is lowered. This is a lowered eye thing. Lowered pop eye there. And yeah, it's got this reddish color. Look at that. So this is, yeah, this looks a little bit better. I like the final version. But yeah, this is darker. It's a little bit different. There's a little bit of difference. Okay, let's get to Star Trek Beyond ship. because I think that's the one we're looking for. Star Trek Beyond. This is the one that got destroyed. And that one looks a little bluer. This one has no light overhead. It's a little bit darker. I think it's kind of giving a tribute to the original Kirk ship, which didn't have a light. It's much more spaced out. The problem with F and G Enterprise is that it is fucking cluttered. This does not feel cluttered. They try to cram. That was the problem with Star Trek, the Enterprise from the Discovery timeline, and I'm going to say that Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Picard. Everything that is complex is spaced out, so that it doesn't look like clutter. Okay, it's a matter of space. Okay, because a movie budget can do this, a TV budget cannot do this. All the time you look at Seven of Nine ship, right, and you're looking at what's his name, Anson Mounts' Captain Pike. It looks like cluttered screens and shit. Everything was like a headache to look at. Here, not so much. Close that. So good on them. We got a couple of minutes left. Let me see. Is it possible? Could we possibly see it? But we can look at a little bit of the ship here. You can see the designs of the ship are much different. Love the Alpha, but it doesn't say A. What the hell? You got to fix that. You got to fix it, son. So we don't know what the A will look like. We don't know if they had designs for it. Mirror Universe. So let's look a little bit at Archer's ship. Or actually, it's Forrest's ship, right? Yeah, you see a bit of red. Lots of red devils. And there you can see the Mirror Terra Prime, or the universe stuff. It's still using blue. It's still using the blue floors. Let's go through really, because you can see the Terra Prime symbol. A lot of red, but kind of the same as the Archer ship from season 4. Back to timeline. Let's go to this one. We have to see this one. It better be in here. That's the Mirror Universe Enterprise. So expand. So you can see the doorway. I guess it'd be a lot of red. There's not much of a difference, I think. It's about the same, but it has the doors. You wouldn't see much of a difference. Though we are thinking of In a Mirror Darkly when they go on the Defiant. I'm going to close this one. Well, let me see. Let me see those. There's some pink and purple. Yeah, I'm going to close this one out because it's not that much different. Just the doorways was changed. Here we got alternate realities. Let's view that for a moment. Expand. This is yesterday's Enterprise. This is blue. What they did here was they raised the captain's chair so that it would look a little bit different. They took a lot of things away. They took away the counselor's seat, and they took away Riker's seat. There is no sitting down, except the captain is allowed to sit. There's an extra panels here to kind of like compensate for a low budget here. So a little bit of that. Back to timeline. We're going to go through these real quick. What is this one? Oh, yes. Yes. All good things. What would that look like? I have the transforming ship. Oh, well, that's all I have. I have the transforming ship for this one. So it goes from current day to like. So let's go down. Multiple timelines. What are we looking at here? Is there anything to look at? Is this ready to view? Could we view something? So these are myriad realities. We have so many ships, so many things. I don't think I could select anything, but that's it. So that's it for the bridge viewing, I'm hoping Otoy updates their YouTube channel and shows us more content. I want to be able to walk around those bridges at least. I don't know about the decks, but we'll see. But there are all the ships that we could possibly see. I wanted to see the Enterprise J, but they never designed it. I would hope it'd be like 3 decks stuck, like you would have bridge decks, like 3 decks within a bridge. Like you go upstairs and downstairs. That's what I would imagine it to be like. If like it's super massive. Like you're just used to the decks. You're used to the bridge being 1 deck and not multiple. Like that's what I would do if it was me creating the Enterprise J. Anyway, enough of this. Live long and prosper. More content to come.